Is it audible? Yes. We are discussing about methane cycle. Methane, it's a potential greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. How this this methane causes two deleterious effect on environment by increasing the Earth's surface temperature, by increasing the surface temperature of Earth. Hence, it is called as a greenhouse gas. And second harmful effect of methane, what it is? It indulges in formation of ozone in troposphere. Okay, in troposphere, ozone will be formed due to the presence of methane, whether it is a good ozone or bad ozone. If this ozone, if it is present in stratosphere, then it is good ozone, right? So there are two harmful effects. As I told you, it's a greenhouse gas. It is more potential than carbon dioxide, and it also indulges in formation of bad ozone in troposphere. Yes, I was discussing about the sources of methane. One is through natural process. What are the natural sources of methane? Wetlands. Then oceans. Next, paddy fields, wetlands. Next, cattles. Cattles, even they do generate methane, natural sources. So when it comes to anthropogenic sources, anthropogenic are man-made. Anthropogenic sources, one is wastewater treatment. So this methane gets released during wastewater treatment. Wastewater treatment. And just I am recalling the last class. Second one, landfills. Landfills, more than 40% of methane is released from agricultural sources, isn't it? Okay. So much more sources are there where methane will get released into the atmosphere and it will act as a greenhouse gas. Now we was discussing about cathrates, also known as methane hydrates. So what are methane hydrates or cathrates? Methane hydrates are cathrates. Cathrates. Methane hydrates, when methane is surrounded by cage of interlocking water molecule. It is surrounded by cage of interlocking water molecule at high pressure and low temperature. Interlocking water molecule, then it is called as methane hydrate. So what is the feasible condition to get formed? Low temperature should be there and high pressure. These two conditions would require for formation of methane hydrates or cathrates. So this methane get trapped in this form. That's good. So where it is stored in oceans or permafrost. What do you mean by permafrost? Permanent frozen soil. Permafrost. Permafrost. It means it is a permanent frozen soil that could be observed in your glaciers. Right? So These methane hydrates are cathrates. Okay. So this methane, when it will get released from these cathrates? When there is high temperature. So during global warming, due to high temperature, the these water molecule, they are crystalline, icy particles. These get melted down and which releases methane. Then it will become potential greenhouse gas. Okay. It causes increase in surface temperature of earth. Okay. I told you these are the sources of release of methane. Now we'll discuss about what are the methane sinks. Methane sinks. Methane sink. Actually, methane is a good and efficient fuel, isn't it? What about in LNG? What is the gaseous composition of LNG? LNG entry irutte. Liquefied natural gas. This is nothing but methane. LPG ali butane. LPG. So that is having butane and isopropane. Propane and isobutane. LNG, methane. What about your biogas? Biogas, methane. What about your shale gas? Shale gas. Again it is methane. You don't know shale gas? Shale gas, which is a type of gas which has been tapped in sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks. Okay. So these rocks contains this shale gas. This shale gas can be processed through a process known as hydraulic fracturing. Hydraulic fracturing. Have you heard about this hydraulic fracturing? Okay. Shale gas, it is the prominent type of fuel. So that explored by USA and European nations. It's a cost expensive, okay, to harness this form of fuel. We do have shale gas in Godavari, Krishna Delta. We have shale gas, but cost expensive. We are not processing it. But America and European nations, okay, so they harness this form of energy. Shale gas, again, it is a methane gas. Okay. And what about CNG? Compressed natural gas. Again, it is methane. Methane is compressed and stored. Then it is called as compressed natural gas. All they constitute, all these different types of gases are made up of methane only. Therefore, we call methane as an fuel. Okay, so best fuel, widely used fuel, CNG, CBG, LNG, shale gas. In multiple forms, we use methane as a fuel. Okay, so anyhow, what are methane sink? We have discussed in previous classes the green carbon sink and blue carbon sink. Green carbon sink are forest and blue carbon sinks are oceans. Here sinks are nothing but structures which takes up methane. Okay. So if it is carbon sink which absorbs carbon or which absorbs methane is known as methane sink. So through which mechanism with methane from the atmosphere is absorbed? There are two mechanisms. Okay. So those are, one such is methanotrophic bacteria. Methanotrophic bacteria. And the second one is hydroxyl molecule, hydroxyl radical, hydroxyl radical. Two types of methane sinks are found in nature. One is methanotrophic bacteria and the second one is hydroxyl radical. Okay, methanotrophic bacteria. Have you ever heard about methanogens? Methanogen bacteria. So this bacteria is generally harnessed in biotoilets or even in biogas, gobar gas, commonly called as gobar gas. What they do? So this container is having cow dung slurry. Yes. This slurry, they will close this container with lid. Gobar gas, gobar gas hakondirtaralla. So this, there will be large container. This will be filled with cow dung slurry, and it is covered by a lid. Why so? Because it is an anaerobic reaction. In absence of oxygen, this decomposition will take place. Decomposition of this cow dung. Okay. So this methanogen bacteria will be present in this slurry. Okay. This bacteria, if you split this word, methanogen, gen means generating. Generating what? Methane. So the bacteria which is present in this container will generate methane and it will be used as cooking fuel. Okay. So methanogen bacteria will be deployed or automatically get produced in anaerobic condition in cow dung slurry. Okay. So this is only called as biogas. In contrast to this, in contrast to methanogen, and one more application is biotoilets. For example, recently Vande Bharat Express trains has been unveiled by Prime Minister. So these Vande Bharat trains are equipped with modern infrastructure. Those are biotoilets. So these to avoid overspilling of fecal matter on the railway tracks. Okay. So what happens here is the human fecal matter will be collected in a chamber. So this fecal matter will be digested by this methanogen bacteria and which produces methane. And water will be released. Okay. So they will collect that fecal matter in the chamber. They deploy these microorganisms, especially methanogen bacteria. They maintain the condition at minus 20 degrees Celsius. These bacteria will be active and they process this and release the methane. Okay. So just to avoid spilling of these fecal matter on railway tracks. Now we have come up with biotoilets. Yes, till now we have discussed about methanogens. But in contrast to methanogens, contrast to this, there are certain types of bacteria, they are called methanotrophic. Methanotrophic. I told you, whenever you come across word trophic, it means food. Good. It means food. So what difference you could observe between these two types of bacteria? These bacteria is releasing methane into the atmosphere, isn't it? Methanogen, generating methane. Okay. So this is methane generating bacteria, but here these bacteria will consume methane as food. Okay. It will consume methane from the atmosphere. It is the source of food for this bacteria. So this bacteria is known as methanotropic bacteria. Methanotropic bacteria are one such methane sinks. Methane sink andre ಏನು? Absorbing methane. Here, these bacteria absorbing methane has a source of food for their metabolic activities. Okay. So one such is methanotrophic, not methanogen. They are not sinks, they are the releasers. Okay, methanotrophic bacteria, they are the sinks. And the second one is hydroxyl molecules, hydroxyl radicals, hydroxyl radicals, OH. Okay, so OH are known as cleanser of atmosphere. OH, hydroxyl molecules, are known as cleanser of atmosphere. The reason behind this is cleanser. Hydroxyl molecules which reacts with methane. Okay, so hydroxyl molecule or methane molecule will react with hydroxyl molecules. So, and it will just absorb this methane. Hence, it is called as cleanser of methane. Okay, write down a sentence. Methane sink. First one is methanotrophic bacteria. Methanotrophic bacteria. These bacteria use methane as energy source. Second one, methane reacts with hydroxyl molecule to form, see, methane reacts with hydroxyl molecule to form carbon dioxide and water. Okay, this is known as methyl oxidation. The process is known as methyl oxidation. Even the first process, that too is referred as methane oxidation. Oxidation of methane, consumption of methane. Okay, so here hydroxyl molecules, why they are called as cleanser of atmosphere? Because it is reacting with methane, okay, and releasing carbon dioxide and water, so that the concentration of methane in the atmosphere is decreased. Yes. Till here, if you have any doubt, please ask me, or else we'll move to the next cycle. Okay, so clathrates, you have fair idea about these clathrates. Okay, clathrates are methane hydrates. They are interlocked by water molecules, okay, at low temperature and high pressure. Okay, these very specific or very strange topics generally UPSC will take up, okay, for framing the question. You have to be very careful in that. Okay, permafrost is already been asked. Permafrost, nothing but permanently frozen soil or surface, so which consists of these hydrates, okay, methyl hydrates. So do you have better understanding of this methane sink? Methane sinks, there are two methane sink. One is methanotrophic bacteria. Tropha means food. These bacteria is taking or deriving its energy from methane. By taking or consuming methane, it is deriving the energy. Methanotrophic through a process called methyl oxidation. Okay, so the second methane sink is when OH molecules, which is OH radicals, Okay. So when OH radical is present in the atmosphere, so it combines with methane. Again, this methyl oxidation will take place, releases carbon dioxide and water. Okay. So which cleanses atmosphere. Okay, by reducing the amount of methane. Okay. Anyway, Clathor is also methane sink only. Okay, unless there should be no hike in or no rise in temperature. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆಯಾ? ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ರೈಸ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ it will act as a methane sink. These H2O molecules will lock this methane. In case there is increase in temperature, then it will lead to melting of clathrates. Okay. Anyway, let's get to next cycle, that is phosphorus cycle. Phosphorus. Phosphorus cycle. Tell me, this phosphorus cycle, is that gaseous cycle or sedimentary cycle? Sedimentary cycle. Why? On what basis you are telling it is a sedimentary cycle? Because phosphorus are locked up in sedimentary rocks, or rocks, landform, or lithosphere, isn't it? But in case of gaseous cycle, the gases or nutrients are circulating through atmosphere. Okay. So which is the slow process? Sedimentary rock cycle. Okay. So here phosphorus. Phosphorus is found in nature in the form of phosphate. Phosphorus is found in nature in the form of phosphate. That too, these phosphates are locked in rocks. What are rocks? They are hardy substances which are made up of minerals. Phosphorus is one such mineral, isn't it? So phosphate is present in rocks. Due to weathering, erosion, listen, phosphorus is present in the form of phosphate. This could be present in rocks as mineral. When rocks are exposed to different agents like wind and sunlight, rainfall, so that is called denudation or degradation. So erosion or degradation or mining are exposed to weathering these rocks which contains phosphates. These phosphates will be released out of it, released from the rocks due to weathering, erosion or mining. So the phosphates which is present in the rocks get released, and get released these sedimentum which contains phosphates flown into river. Okay, so flown into river, and this river water finally gets into ocean. Okay, so phosphorus is present in the form of phosphate. It's locked up in rocks due to weathering, erosion, mining. This phosphorus or phosphates get released to the land surface. So see, these phosphate molecules are released into the river water. Okay, this river water carries this phosphate. Finally, this river reaches to oceanic surface. So where the phosphate get deposited here. on the continental shelf. Continental shelf gottalla nimge. Okay, so this phosphate molecules or phosphate gets deposited in continental shelf of ocean. Continental shelf of ocean. How about this? How this phosphate which is present in the continental shelf get exposed to the atmosphere or get exposed to the lithosphere. ಈಗ ಓಷನ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇದೆ ಫಾಸ್ಫೇಟ್, ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬರಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ? ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಮಿಲಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಯರ್ಸ್ what happens? Due to tectonic plate movements, isn't it? So this will come to sea floor. Okay, this deposit will come to the sea floor. Again it will be exposed to the lithosphere. Okay, so finally it gets circulated. This is the one source of phosphorus. Listen, phosphorus is present in the form of phosphate stored in rocks. So due to weathering, mining and other erosional activities or denudation activities get released and combined with river water. So when river water reaches the ocean, gets deposited in continental shelf. After millions of years, due to plate activities, this get drifted up. So this drifted up to oceanic floor and get mixed with the lithosphere. Okay, and it will be available to plants because phosphorus is an important fertilizer, nutrient, isn't it? NPK ಕೇಳಲ್ವಾ ನೀವು? ಫಾಸ್ಫರಸ್ ಯಾವ್ದು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ? P. Okay, so second most required nutrient for plants, right? So phosphorus will be even taken up by plants as a nutrient. The plants absorbs this phosphorus, especially a bacteria, the fungi called mycorrhiza. Mycorrhiza, which is present inside the soil, is responsible for uptake of phosphorus or mobilization of phosphorus from the soil. Okay, so listen. Think it is a plant. They are roots. In previous class, I have discussed about symbiotic association between leguminous plants and rhizobium bacteria, isn't it? So what rhizobium bacteria is doing? It is fixing the nitrogen from the atmosphere. But here, not bacteria, fungus will be present. So fungus get attached to roots of the plant. The fungus get fungal hyphae. Hyphae is a filamentous elongated thread-like structure. Have you seen that booze bandide antaralla idra mele bread chapati, the white rhizopus anta kariteve. So that long elongated structure, white structure, that is known as hyphae. Hyphae of fungus. Okay, so this is hyphae get attached to the roots of the plant. Okay, roots of the plant. So what this mycorrhiza will be doing? This association is nothing but mycorrhiza. It is a symbiotic association between plant and fungus. Plant and fungus. Symbiotic association between plant and fungus. Because fungus is getting attached to the plant, what it does? How it is beneficial for the plant? So these fungus or fungal hyphae which helps in mobilization of phosphorus. which is present in the soil, because this hyphae deeply rooted than the roots of the plant, which takes up, which mobilizes the phosphorus which is present in the soil, okay, and it will give it to the plant. Okay, here the fungus is helping the plant to process the to uptake phosphorus. Anyway, even plants are responsible for mobilization of phosphorus, and this phosphorus again get into soil. How? The phosphorus which is present in the plants get back to the soil. How? Very good. Decay or decomposition. Through decomposition of this plant, phosphorus get released into the soil. Isn't it? Okay. So by this way, phosphorus keeps circulating in the cycle, in the atmosphere, not in the atmosphere, lithosphere. Okay. So phosphorus cycle innosthe hella. Have you understood till here? Phosphates which are present, phosphorus present in the form of phosphate locked up in or stored in rocks. So these rocks, due to weathering, erosion or denudation, gets released to the river. Okay, it get deposited or accumulated to the rivers. These rivers carries phosphates to the ocean. So when oceans are exposed to the land, this phosphate again comes to the lithosphere or to the surface of the land. This phosphate again will be taken up by plants for their growth. So one symbiotic association that we can observe between plant and fungus. Okay. After death and decay of this plant, the phosphorus which is present in the plant get decomposed into the soil. Again, it get back to the soil. This is a sedimentary cycle, nutrient cycle. Okay. The others are Lolakshi ma'am anta nenu tumba kushili hi helidare. So thank you. In water cycle ide. Water cycle, apart from that, oxygen cycle, very simple, sulfur. ಈ ಮೂರನ್ನ ನೀವು ಓದ್ಕೊಂಬನ್ನಿ. ಸೊ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗದಿರೋದು ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ. ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ನೀವು ಓದ್ಕೊಂಬನ್ನಿ. ವೆರಿ ಸಿಂಪಲ್. ಈಗ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಸೈಕಲ್, ಇಟ್ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ಸ್ ಎವಾಪರೇಷನ್, ಕಂಡೆನ್ಸೇಷನ್, ಪ್ರೆಸಿಪಿಟೇಷನ್, isn't it? Sublimation. Sublimation ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Converting from solid to gaseous form. Solid to gaseous form. If for example camphor, when you burn the camphor, ಕರ್ಪೂರ ಹಚ್ಚಿದ್ರೆ ಕರ್ಪೂರ ಏನು ಲಿಕ್ವಿಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ? ಒಂದೇ ಸತಿ ಸಾಲಿಡ್ ಟು gaseous state. That is called sublimation. So sublimation do happen, like the water will be in the form of ice to water vapor. Okay, sublimation. So through these processes, water cycle gets revolving. Sorry. Just you read these cycles once, then I'll discuss briefly in the class. Very simple. Okay, very straight and simple. Now let's get back to biodiversity, the next chapter. Water, oxide, sulfur. Okay, water cycle, oxygen cycle, and sulfur cycle. Yes. Biodiversity, again, it is very important chapter that you can never ever ignore or neglect. Okay. For prelims, for mains, they keep asking question on this topic. Very important, because which gives stability and sustainability to our Mother Earth. So biodiversity. Before coming to this chapter, I just wanted to know few keywords related to this chapter. Okay. What do you mean by species? Species. The word species keeps repeating in this chapter. Then how we are going to define it? What are species? Group of individuals. Very good. Same character? Different character? Let's try on your own. What are species? Homo sapiens. Genus or species? Homo sapiens another. Genus or species? Species. Then tell me, so they are group of organisms, yes, I do agree. And what criteria we make that group of individuals as species? No, not morphological characters at all. So, ನಾವು ಮತ್ತೆ Negroids ಒಂದೇ ಥರ ಇದ್ದೀವ? ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಅಥವಾ ಈ ಒಂದು ನಾವು ಚೈನೀಸು, ಮಾರ್ಫಾಲಜಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು? ಔಟ್ಲುಕ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಔಟ್ಲುಕ್ ಚೈನೀಸು ನಾವು ಒಂದೇ ಥರ ಇದ್ದೀವ, ನೀಗ್ರಾಯ್ಡ್ಸು ನಾವು ಒಂದೇ ಥರ ಇದ್ದೀವ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದ್ರವಿಡಿಯನ್ಸು ಮತ್ತು ಆರ್ಯನ್ಸು ನೋಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದೇ ಥರ ಇದ್ದಾರ? ಅಲ್ಲ, ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಸೇ ದ್ಯಾಟ್. ಗಿವ್ ಅನ್ ಅಟೆಂಪ್ಟ್. ಏನ್ರಿ ಸ್ಪೀಷೀಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ? ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ I have told you many times regarding the species. Listen. Have you heard some incidences like the Kannadiga has married to German girl in the news? Huh? So, this USA person got married to Indian girl. So what is the logic behind that? Why I am telling that? Species or organisms or group of individuals, they can interbreed. And they morphologically they are different. Negroids ಬೇರೆ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, Africans, Asians ಬೇರೆ. Okay, so and Europeans, Mediterranean people, all they are different, but they can interbreed, isn't it? They can get married, okay, so and they can interbreed, and even they possess offspring, they produce offspring, then they are said to be species. Individuals are a group of individuals who can interbreed and produce offspring. Listen, there is Royal Bengal tiger and Siberian tiger. Can they interbreed? Can they interbreed? Yes, they do, and they produce their offspring. So tiger is a species. Then why it is Royal Bengal tiger or Siberian tiger or Asiatic tiger? Okay, so that is some genetic variation, genetic diversity. Okay, genetic diversity can be found within the species. It doesn't mean that it is a separate species. The Siberian ಇದೆ, ಸೊ ಮತ್ತೆ ರಾಯಲ್ ಬೆಂಗಾಲ್ ಟೈಗರ್ ಇದೆ, ಮಾಮೂಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಏಷ್ಯಾಟಿಕ್ ಟೈಗರ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಮೆಲನಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಟೈಗರ್ ಅಂತ ನೋಡಿದಿರ ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ ಒಡಿಶಾದಲ್ಲಿ ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ದಿಸ್ ಮೆಲನಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಟೈಗರ್ ಸ್ಪಾಟೆಡ್ ಇನ್ ಒಡಿಶಾ. Melanistic melanin pigment, black tiger. Okay, so having same species only but different genetic character. Okay, so species are nothing but group of individuals. They can interbreed and produce offspring. Got the clarity? Artha aita? Okay. Now, so there are certain other keywords you must remember. Keystone species. because I keep repeating these words. Keystone species. What do you mean by this? What are keystone species? Keystone species are species which plays pivotal role in ecosystem for bringing stability. Its presence or absence or abundance will lead to drastic change in the ecosystem. Okay. So which determines the stability of the ecosystem. Then it is called as keystone species. Example, tiger, okay, top predator, African elephant, honeybee. See, if there are no honeybees, then there will be no pollination. If honeybees numbers drastically declines, okay, or this species got perished in the environment, even you cannot imagine the various species or diversity of an ecosystem, because honeybee plays crucial role in pollination. Due to pollination only, the plants can produce food. Okay, so if plants could able to produce food, the credit goes to honeybees. If this species gets eliminated, then there will be so much deleterious impact on the environment. Okay, so other one such species last class I discussed. Yadu honeybee, huh? See otter, very good. Sea otter. Sea otter, it is a marine mammal. Sea otter is a marine mammal present in ocean. Okay, they feed on, they eat on sea urchin. Sea urchin, and this sea urchin feeds on seagrass, isn't it? Seagrass. Tell me, if the sea otters, the total population of sea otters disappears, declines, then what will happen? Sea urchin population will increase. Okay, so and that will lead to complete loss of seagrass. Okay, so this is known as, it is creating this equilibrium. Disequilibrium in the ecosystem. Disequilibrium in the ecosystem. Yes. Sea otters are keystone species. If there is decline of this number, will lead to increase in number of sea urchin, then it will lead to disappearance of the seagrass. Seagrass, they are the producers, foundational species, isn't it? So many other marine organisms are depending on seagrass for their survival. So we have discussed seagrass and seaweed. in previous classes. Okay. Hence, the number has to be maintained. The sea water number has to be maintained. Okay. So, or its increase and even decrease will lead to some impact. Decrease, if the decrease in the number of sea water, then increase in sea urchin. If there is more sea waters, what will happen? Sea urchin, more grass. Okay. So more productivity, more production, but adu irಬಾರ್ದು. Excessive agi grass iddu. So other marine organisms, they should be keep in check. Okay. So its abundance or decline or addition will be having impact. Then they are called as keystone species. So tiger, top predators. If tigers are there, then these population could be kept in check. Okay. So if tiger population decreases, deer population increases, then what is the impact? So it completely feeds on the green grass. Okay. So these are called keystone species. It will lead to degradation of whole ecosystem. Very important to know. Loss of keystone species will lead to degradation of whole ecosystem. So don't ever think that only top carnivores are predators, they are the keystone species. Even beavers and honeybees, there can be keystone species. Okay, next will be indicator species. What do you mean by that? Indicator, what is that? Indicator species. Indicator species. What it indicates? Climate change, pollution. So which speaks about the changes which are occurring in the environment. Okay. Again, its presence, absence speaks about that. They indicate the healthiness of the environment. Okay. For example, if lichens are there, lichens are nothing but symbiotic association of algae and fungi. If lichens are there and they are in healthy condition, which shows that, which indicates that, so the environment is clean. Okay, and there is no air pollution. If there are snails in the water, okay, if snails are there in water or dolphins are there in water, then it means water is pure. If there is death of these organisms are occurring, it indicates that water is polluted. They are known as bioindicators. They indicate the environmental condition. These are the organisms which indicate the environmental pollution. Okay. Next, endemic species. I'll keep telling these words before knowing this biodiversity chapter. Should know this. Endemic species. Endemic species are those which are found in particular geographical area, confined to particular area, particular geographical area. It's found nowhere across the world. Okay. So then they are said to be endemic species. Endemism, which even is an additional factor for the species diversity. I'll come to that later, which shows that if the area is having some specific type of or unique type of organisms, so and these organisms are not found elsewhere, then they are called as endemic species. Example, in last class I have discussed about Karai camels. What are they? Karai camels, they are called Swimming camels present in Gujarat, marshy areas of Gujarat, and it is reared by, domesticated by Maldari community. Okay, they feed on mangrove leaves. Very good. Okay, so these Karai camels are found only in Gujarat, nowhere in the world. Swimming camels. Okay, they are desert animals, but they are present in marshy area. Okay, and what about olive ridley turtle? Olive ridley, they are found in Odisha. Okay, the unique mass nesting process is known as Aribada. Okay, they come to the shoreline and they lay their eggs, they hatch. That is called Aribada, mass nesting of this olive ridley turtle. And what about lion-tailed macaque? Lion-tailed macaque, Western Ghats. They found only in Western Ghats. There was a question in UPSC. So this lion-tailed macaque is not found in which of the following state? They have given 3 states here. So Goa, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and even they have given option as Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh comes in Eastern Ghats. Okay, but in Eastern Ghats, a specific type of animal called Malabar civet. Civet is confined to Eastern Ghats. Lion-tailed macaque is confined to Western Ghats. Okay, so likewise, the Gir lions, Gujarat. So Sangai deer, Sangai deer are dancing deer. Manipur, Sangai deer in Manipur. Then tell me some other endemic species. Karnataka, do you have any such endemic species? Yavadu ilva? So what about one-horned rhino, where it is present? Assam. Okay. Hangul. Jammu Kashmir. Hangul, it's a deer. Chiru antelope. Chiru antelope. Jammu Kashmir only. So in Karnataka, leaf-nosed bat. Leaf-nosed bat. Critically endangered species. That is spotted in Mulbaglu, Kolar district. You hail from Kolar. Kolar exactly? Okay. So have you heard about place Mulbagilu? Leaf-nosed bat. Okay. And even the otter, Tungabhadra, in the banks of river Tungabhadra, otter species are present. Otter. They are semi-aquatic mammals. They found both on river as well as on land. So these species are endemic species. They are confined to particular geographical region. ಈಗ endemic ಕಾಯಿಲೆಗಳು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Endemic diseases. For example, Casanova forest disease. So this disease, we generally diagnose or we generally find this disease in Sagar district of Shimoga. Okay. So endemic species, please do remember, they are also called as presumptive species. Presumptive. Presumptive species. Yes. Invasive species. Invasive species. Tell me, what are invasive species? Migrated? Migrate agalla. Exotic species, exactly. They are exotic species. You online student? Okay. So exotic species, these species, they have brought to one region, whether intentionally or unintentionally, both. So can be brought intentionally or unintentionally. Unintentional. Example. Example, intentional. Huh? Oh. Catfish. Unintentional. Congress. Water hyacinth. Lantana. Okay. Kale sumne hange bandirodu. So these invasive species, they pose threat to local species or native species. So they provide competition. Okay, so they throw competition with food, resources, so for everything. And even sometimes they completely invade, they completely destroy the native species. Invasive species, very important. Okay, so on the ಎರಡು question ಬಂದಿದೆ invasive species ಬಗ್ಗೆ. Example, eucalyptus, lantana, hyacinth, water hyacinth. Okay, ballast water ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದು ಕೋರಲ್ ರೀಫ್ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು ಅಂಡಮಾನ್ ನಿಕೋಬಾರ್ಗೆ. ballast water ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಹಡಗು ಬರ್ತಿರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಶಿಪ್. along with that ship some water will be keep coming. Okay, so in one nation there was a coral reef that got entered to that ballast water. When the ship reaches Andaman Nicobar, so this coral reef got settled there and they started killing or destroying the coral reefs which is present or which is native to Andaman Nicobar. Okay, so unintentional, that is unintentional. Sometimes intentionally we bring that, okay, for having more yield, productivity, anyhow. And lastly, flagship species. Flagship species. So these flagship species which represents environmental condition, example, panda, kangaroo, which represents environmental cause or condition. Environmental cause. Example, panda, kangaroo. Kangaroo ella kade idea athwa it is specific to some nation? Confined to Australia. It's an endemic species of Australia, kangaroo. So why this represents environmental cause? Because of its vulnerability. It's more prone to threats, vulnerability, and attractiveness. Because of this attractiveness of an animal, and also distinctiveness. Okay, so flagship species which represents an environmental cause in an ecosystem, which emphasizes on need of conservation. Okay, for example, some people, environmentalist, so they go for protecting that particular species. For example, red panda, so or this kangaroo. Okay, so they are known as flagship species. Okay, so which represents the environmental cause, okay, in the ecosystem. And why they'll be protected? Okay, because of their vulnerability. They are posing threat by some environmental conditions, so their attractiveness and their distinctiveness. Okay, this is about certain key terminologies that you must focus on. One is invasive, second one endemic, third one keystone, fourth one indicator species, and fifth one will be flagship. Now you come to biodiversity. Biodiversity. What do you mean by bio and diversity? How you are going to define it? Diversity, that is nothing but variability. Variability. Variability of what? Of life or organisms. Organisms is in broad term. This includes organisms like plants and animals also. Life irodu plants animals biಟ್ರೆ ಇನ್ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕಾದ್ರೂ ಲೈಫ್ ಇದೆಯಾ? Bacteria called as microbes. Not only bacteria, so bacteria, protozoa, fungus, algae, all together known as microbes. Microbes. So there is variability, various kinds of, different kinds of plants, animals and microbes, if which is present in the world or in the specific ecosystem, very good, or in specific ecosystem, then it is said to be biodiversity. Got this? Biodiversity, which is made up of two words. We can derive meaning from these two words. Diversity is nothing but variability, different kind, okay, various kinds of plants, animals and microbes, okay. So if which is present in the world or ecosystem, okay, overall world if you take, okay. So how many types of plants, animals and microbes are present? So ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಎಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಟೈಪ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಮೈಕ್ರೋಬ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋದನ್ನೇ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ರೈಟ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್. It refers to, biodiversity refers to variety of plant, animal and microbial species in the world or in particular habitat. In the world or particular habitat. Right? So where would you observe extraordinary biodiversity in the world? Extraordinary. More number of, diverse number of plants, animals and microbiums or microorganisms are found in which ecosystem? Forest ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಂತ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್? ರೈನ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್. ಅದು ಯಾವ್ದು ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಅಥವಾ ವೆರಿ renowned forest which is meant for biodiversity? ಯಾವುದು? ಎವರ್ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಯಾವುದು ಹೆಸರು? Amazon. Okay. Amazon forest is one such which is having extraordinary species diversity. What are species? Species are group of individuals having, or they can interbreed and produce offspring, right? So overall in the world there are 8.7 million species. 8.7 million species. Can you imagine this? 8.7 million species present on earth. Not individuals, for your kind information. Okay, total number of species ಎಷ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ 8.7 million. So tell me whether my statement is true or false. Among these 8.5 million species, more than 5 million species are found in ocean. Statement true or false? I'll put it in this way. When compared to land, we have more diverse ecosystem and more number of species are found in ocean. True or false? True ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಹಿಂಗೇನೆ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು UPSC ಮೋಸಗೊಳಿಸೋದು. ನೀವು ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋದು 29% ಲ್ಯಾಂಡು, 71% ಓಷನ್ನು. Obviously, the ocean surface is vast. Okay, and so this species diversity also will be more. Okay. Please remember. So this oceanic water is having highest salinity. Salt water is not a feasible condition, feasible environment for organism to thrive, isn't it? Is it feasible environment? And you cannot get diverse ecosystem here. But when you come to land, example, here there is a Thar desert and here evergreen forest. Okay, and here also Andaman Nicobar evergreen forest, deciduous forest. So and grassland, do we have any grasslands? Idave, but ashtu large spans irodilla ashtu. So Himalayas, hilly areas, diverse ecosystems are present on the land. Grasslands ಆಗಿರೋದು, ಎಕೋಟೋನ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿರೋದು, ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ವಾಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಬೆಲೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಹೆನ್ಸ್ this land covers highest, our land is having a terrestrial species, so diversity is more. Okay, please ಇದೇ ಥರನೇ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಕ್ವಶನ್ನ ಟ್ವಿಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ನಾವು ಜನರಲಿ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಹಿಂಗೇನೆ, ಹೇಗೆ, ಹೌದು ಓಷನ್ ವಿಶಾಲವಾಗಿದೆ, ವಾಸ್ಟ್ ಓಷನಿಕ್ ಒಂದು ರಿಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಆರ್ಗನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಕೂಡ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಇಲ್ಲ, ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ರೈಟ್ ಡೌನ್. 6.5 million on land out of 8.7, out of 8.7 million species, 6.5 on land, species on land, and just 2.2 million, 2.2 million species in ocean. 2.2 million in ocean. One more question. So biodiversity, I told you, biodiversity means various or variability of organisms. These organisms involves what? Plants, animals, and microbes. Please tell me, among these three, where you can find highest diversity, whether in plants or in animals or in microbes? Huh? Very good. Animals, which constitute 70% of diversity. 70% of diversity, animals. Inge question barodu. Okay, nikrate. You should know the accurate information. Okay, so these animals constitutes 70% of diversity. The remaining 30%, of diversity from plants and microbes. Okay, plants and microbes, including all algae, fungi, and among animals, which category of animals constitute highest diversity? Huh? Nobody? First, when you take land and water, land is having highest diversity. 8% out of 8.7 million species. 6.5. 6.5 species, 5 million species on land. Again, the species of plant species, animal, and microbes, which is having the highest number of species or diversity? Animals. So highest diversity. And here, among animals, which type of animals? They are having a phyla. Phylum are animals. They are having highest diversity. Vertebrates ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ಫೈಲಮ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ, ಕಿಂಗ್ಡಮ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್, ಎರಡು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್, ವರ್ಟಿಬ್ರೇಟ್, ಇನ್ವರ್ಟಿಬ್ರೇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ವರ್ಟಿಬ್ರೇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಇದೆಯಾ, ಇನ್ವರ್ಟಿಬ್ರೇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆಯಾ? What do you mean by vertebrates and invertebrates? One, those organisms which have backbone or vertebral column, they are said to be vertebrates, also known as chordates. Who does not possess this vertebral column? Invertebrates are non-chordates, isn't it? Tell me whether vertebrates having high diversity or invertebrates? Huh? Yake? Why? No. Why you are saying that? So vertebrates, there are 5 classes, isn't it? Fishes, amphibians, birds, reptiles, mammals. First reptiles, then birds, then mammals. They are all vertebrates, 5 classes. Invertebrates, Porifera, Cylindrita, Platyhelminthes, Ascalmenthes, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata. So among these classes, okay, these phylum, which phylum is having highest diversity? I should know all this minute information. Which phylum is having highest diversity? Arthropoda. What do you mean by that? Arthropoda. Jointed legs. Who are having jointed legs? Insects. So insects are the community or that population is having highest diversity, highest species diversity. Please note down this point. So arthropoda, they come under Swaroop. Yes, you can join the class. It's free for all. Okay. Arthropoda. In this, aerial insects are insects which forms largest biodiversity through, okay, insects, they have highest species richness, okay. So insects. Idartha aitala? Did you get this? 8.7. So they can ask you for your mains. So completely write some short notes on biodiversity. Okay. So you KPSC lu kuda kelidare mains ge, UPSC gu barta ide. Question last ಗೆ mains du tagotini. Okay, I'll discuss mains questions too, where generally students will get confused here. Howda? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, here many people think that microbes, they are having highest diversity. Okay, there are many small organisms. Okay, houdu small organisms, plentiful of microorganisms are present. Even our body, which consists of 1.4 portion of our body, like if you are weighing 100 kg, okay, so the microorganisms almost it will be 60 kg. Your body weight is 40 kg. You know this. Your intestine itself is having 2 kg of bacteria. Okay, we have bacteria and microbes, but the species richness is not there. That E. coli, Clostridium, Pseudomonas. Okay, so all the known like very few types of bacteria or microbes are found. But in case of insects, we have a rich species diversity. Okay, till here you're clear? Next, plants and microbes, again plants. Okay, so because plants have 5 classes either: thallophytes, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms. Okay, next, types of biodiversity. Types of biodiversity. Okay. First one will be, there are 3 types of biodiversity. One is alpha, beta and gamma. Alpha, beta, gamma can be asked for prelims. How you are going to explain alpha, beta and gamma biodiversity? So I'll give an example so that you'll understand better. Take for example our national park in Bannerghatta. Bannerghatta National Park ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಣ, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದಲ್ವಾ. So this Bannerghatta National Park is an ecosystem. Okay, so in Bannerghatta National Park, how many types of species are available in that park? Chimpanzee, gorilla, so cheetah, lion, tiger, okay, whatever, monkeys. So this is the number of species which is present in single ecosystem or single habitat. That is known as alpha biodiversity. In an ecosystem, the number of species, not number of individuals. Please remember, if there are 50 gorilla and 100 chimpanzee, that doesn't matter. Just I am counting number of species, isn't it? Okay, so that constitutes alpha diversity. Number of species present in an ecosystem. Okay, beta. Beta is nothing but, this is Bannerghatta National Park and this one is Anshi Dandeli. You know that, right? Anshi Dandeli Tiger Reserve National Park eradu kuda agutte. Anshi Dandeli National Park ide. I am just comparing number of species in Bannerghatta and number of species in Anshi Dandeli National Park. If I'm comparing the number of species between these 2 ecosystems, then it is called as beta. If I compare species diversity of one ecosystem with another, then it is beta. If I am counting I am estimating the species diversity within a region, that is alpha. ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಿದೆಯಾ? Okay, then what about gamma? I'll just take the total national parks in India. ಎಲ್ಲ ಎಷ್ಟಿದಾವೆ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ತಗೋತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಐ ಟೇಕ್ ಆಲ್ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಐ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ವಿತ್ ಒನ್ ಅನದರ್. The national parks, total national parks which is present in India, if I compare them, then it is called as gamma. ಒಂದು ಎಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರದು ಆಲ್ಫಾ, ಎರಡು ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಟೂ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬೀಟಾ. ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್, ಇಫ್ ಐ ಟೇಕ್ ಆಲ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್, ಇದನ್ನ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾರಿಟಿ. ಅಗೇನ್ ಐ ಟೀಚ್. Alpha diversity, it refers to the diversity within particular area or ecosystem. It refers to the diversity within a particular area or ecosystem. Particular area or ecosystem. Second one, beta diversity, it compares diversity between between ecosystems. Very good. It compares diversity between ecosystem. Diversity andre enu? Number of species anta. Number of species. Okay. What about gamma diversity? Which measures overall diversity of different ecosystem within a region. Different ecosystem within a region. Okay. Take 10 minutes break, then we'll Yes. So there are three indices of biodiversity: alpha, beta, and gamma. You got to know that diversity within species is said to be alpha. Within ecosystem is known as alpha. Between two ecosystem, beta. Between different ecosystem, gamma. Okay. And again, these biodiversity are further classified into three types. One is genetic biodiversity, species biodiversity, and third one will be ecosystem biodiversity. Ecosystem biodiversity. Yes, genetic biodiversity, which talks about genetic variation which can be observed in a species. Example, take for example Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens, human species, isn't it? We find diversity, genetic diversity, like we have Mongoloids, Negroids, Mediterraneans, Australoids, isn't it? So we have that genetic genetic variability. Okay. So if we find different genetic variability in single species, then that could be referred as genetic biodiversity. So even in tigers, there are different types of tigers. For example, Asiatic tigers, Bengal tiger, Javan tiger, Siberian tigers, melanistic tigers, isn't it? So tiger is a species. We are finding different genetic variation in that single species. You got lion. Again, lion, Asiatic lion, okay, African lion, elephant, Asiatic lion also known as Gir lions, okay. So elephant is a species. Again, we'll find genetic diversity like what? African, Asian. In Homo sapiens, human beings, not only this. So some people will be having cat eyes. Some people will be having blue eyes. Some people is having grey eyes. Aishwarya color yaudu? Kannin color? Aishwarya raidappa. Gottilla. General knowledge alla bidiyadu. Okay. Brown eyes. So he gave the eye color which to be varied due to this genetic composition. Okay. So this is genetic diversity. If you are finding some variability within the species, genetic variability, then it is said to be genetic diversity. You got this? Okay. Listen, tigers ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಕಪ್ಪು ಹುಲಿನೂ ಇದೆ, ಬಿಳಿ ಹುಲಿನೂ ಇದೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಹಳದಿ ಹುಲಿನೂ ಇದು. ಹಳದಿ ಹುಲಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಹಳದಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬ್ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ ಪಟ್ಟಿಗಳಿರಲ್ವೇನ್ರಿ, ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಪ್ಸ್. Okay, so we have all sorts of tigers. Tiger is a single species. Okay, so in that single species we have different genetic diverse characteristic features. Okay, that's about genetic diversity. Next one, species biodiversity. Again, you should understand two keywords before understanding this species biodiversity. There are two keywords. One is species richness. Species richness. Second one is species evenness. Please understand these two keywords because you may not understand when you read this. Okay, so based on what parameters we can classify this as species richness and evenness. Listen here. This is an ecosystem. For example, desert. It is a desert ecosystem. How many types of species are found or available in that particular ecosystem is said to be species richness. ಏನೇನಿರುತ್ತಪ್ಪ desert ಅಲ್ಲಿ? What all the organisms you can find? One is camel, cactus. ಇನ್ನೇನಿರುತ್ತೆ? ಸ್ನೇಕ್ಸು ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಟು ನೇಮ್ ಫ್ಯೂ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ, okay, so plant species and animal species which are present in desert. If you count each and every one, okay, each and every species, then it is said to be on the species richness. Or else you tell me it is a rainforest and this is a desert where you can find the highest species diversity. Rainforest or desert? Rainforest. So various kinds of species are present in this rainforest. So if more number of species are present, then it is said to be species richness. It is easy artha agutte nimge. But you come to this evenness, species evenness. This is ecosystem 1. Andu yadu ecosystem 1 anta itkoli. ಇದು ಎಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ 2. ಎರಡು ಕಾಡೆ, ಬೋತ್ ಆರ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಈ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟೈಗರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ 5 in number. Tigers, and then deers 50 in number. And cheetahs, they are again 5 in number. Okay, so you come to tigers here. There are 2 tigers, 54 deers, and cheetahs will be 4. ಯಾಕೆ ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಬರಿತಿದ್ದೀರಿ ಅಂತ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಯು ಕೌಂಟ್ ದಿಸ್, ಯು ಆಡ್ ದಿಸ್ 60. ಇನ್ ಬೋತ್ ಎಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್, ದಿಸ್ one forest type 1 and this is forest type 2. In both ecosystem, you are having tigers. In first forest, you are having 5 tigers, 50 deers and 5 cheetahs. Here in ecosystem 2, 2 tigers, 54 deers and 4 cheetahs. Please tell me where you can find this species evenness. Species evenness ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ? Ecosystem 2. ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು. ಓದ್ದ 1 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆಯಾ 2 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆಯಾ? 1 ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಯಾಕೆ? ಒಬ್ರು 2 ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರು 1, ಇನ್ ಕೆಲವರು 2ರಲ್ಲೂ, ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡಿ 2ರಲ್ಲೂ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಯಾಕೆ? ನೋಡಿ, ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಎಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ 3 ಅಂತ ಇದೆ. ಎಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ 3 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟೈಗರ್ 1 ಇದೆ, ಡೀರು 58 ಇದೆ, ಚೀತಲ್ಲು 1 ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದಾವಪ್ಪ ಮೂರಲ್ಲೂ? ಸೇಮ್. ಎಷ್ಟು? ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್? ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ 3. ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಆರ್ 3. ಇಲ್ಲಿ 3 ಇದಾವೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ 3ನೇ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ 3ನೇ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್. ಬಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಮೇಕ್ಸ್ ದ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ನಂಬರ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ ಅಬಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ ಅಬಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಇರೋದು ಈ ಮೂರಲ್ಲೂ ಯಾವ್ದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ? ಒಂದೇ ತರದ್ದು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರೋದು ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಗೆ. ಒಂಥರ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಹೈಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಇರೋದು ಬೇಡ. ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ದೀಸ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಫೌಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ಅಬಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ನಂಬರ್. ದೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಈವನೆಸ್. ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅಂತದ್ದು ಈ ಮೂರಲ್ಲಿ? ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ? ಈಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ 60 ಇರೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ 60, ಇಲ್ಲಿ 60 ನಂಬರ್ಸ್. ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್, ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ಸ್. ಬಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್. ಬಟ್ ಈವನ್ನೆಸ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ದ ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ ಅಬಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಈಚ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೋರ್ ಇನ್ ecosystem 1, isn't it? But in the evenness is slightly, okay, so lesser than ecosystem 2, even more lesser in ecosystem 3. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? ದಿಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಇವನ್ನೆಸ್. ಅವೆರಡು ಕೀವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ರಿಚ್ನೆಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಇವನ್ನೆಸ್. ತುಂಬ ಸಫಕೇಶನ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಹಿಂದೆ ಫ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಗ್ತಿರೋ ನೋಡಿ. 17 ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಬರಲ್ವಾ ಅದು? AC ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ರಿಚ್ನೆಸ್, ಇಟ್ ಮೆಷರ್ಸ್ ದ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್. It measures the number of species found in a community. Found in a community. It measures the number of species found in a community. You tell me, we have discussed a term called ecotone. When I was discussing about ecotone, I told you that all these ecotone regions will be having species abundance. How that is called diversity. Okay, so more productivity, more diversity. So that phenomenon is known as edge effect. Correct? So can you name few ecotone regions? ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ecotone regions ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ? Mangroves, very good. Estuaries, excellent. Grasslands, very good. So these are ecotone regions. I told you. So those certain regions, those certain ecosystem, they are not ecotones, but still they have highest species diversity. Example. Very good. Rainforest and coral reefs are exceptions. Though they are not ecotone regions, still they have high productivity and more biodiversity. Okay, so where you can find this species richness anta andre, highest species richness is found in coral reefs and rainforest. Write down. Highest species richness, highest species richness are seen in tropical rainforest and coral reefs. Tropical rainforest and coral reefs. Species evenness. Species evenness. It is a measure of relative abundance of the different species. Relative abundance of different species. Different species. Making up the richness of the area. Making up the richness of the area. Low evenness means few species dominate the site. Few species dominate the site. So try to understand few keywords. One is India is a mega diverse region or mega diverse nation. And India is having biodiversity hotspots. And third one will be India is having biodiversity hottest hotspots. We'll discuss one by one. Hottest hotspots. ಈ ಮೂರು ಏನು ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋಣ. ಮೆಗಾ ಡೈವರ್ಸ್ ನೇಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? So what do you mean by biodiversity hotspots and biodiversity hottest hotspots? Just I'll give the number, then I'll come to explanation later. Mega diverse nations. How many mega diverse nations are present in the world? How many are there? There are 17 mega diverse nations across the world. India is one among them. India is one of the mega diverse nation. We have formed a troop with other mega diverse nations for asking financial assistance from nations who are already economically emerged. Okay. Last time nimge heldena. So payment for ecosystem services anta ನೆನಪಿದೆಯಾ? Payment for ecosystem services. If certain communities or certain countries, they are keeping their ecosystem, the critical ecosystem intact, those communities or countries has to be rewarded financially, isn't it? So ಅದೇ ಥರ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಕೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಮೆಗಾ ಡೈವರ್ಸ್ ದೇಶ ಅಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಕಾಪಾಡ್ಕೋತಿರ್ತಾನೆ, ಅರಣ್ಯ ಕಾಪಾಡ್ಕೋತಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ಪರಿಸರವನ್ನು ಕಾಪಾಡ್ಕೋತಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ನಮಗೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ. ಓಕೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ. ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಕನ್ವೆನ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ವೆನ್ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್. ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಹಾಟ್ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದಾವೆ ಓವರ್ ಆಲ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ? 36. So among 36 biodiversity nation, India is one among them. There are 36 biodiversity hotspots. 36 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾರತ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು. ಓಕೆ, ಹಾಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಹಾಟ್ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದಾವೆ? Hottest hotspots are 8. There are 8 hottest hotspots. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಿಂದ 3 ಇದಾವೆ. ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಘಾಟ್ಸ್, ಇಂಡೋ-ಬರ್ಮಾ ರೀಜನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಒನ್ ಈಸ್ ಸುಂಡಾ. ಕೇಳಿದಿರಾ? 4 ಇದಾವೆ ಟೋಟಲಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಹಾಟ್ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ಸ್, ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಹಾಟ್ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಸೊ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಇಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ 4 ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಹಾಟ್ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ಸ್. ಹಾಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಹಾಟ್ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ ಅಂತ ಟೋಟಲಿ 8 ಇದಾವೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ is also part of it. Now you take up this word biodiversity hotspot. How many mega diverse nations are there? 17. India is one among them. How many biodiversity hotspots are there? 36. India is one among them. And biodiversity hottest hotspots, there are 8. India has got that status. So agiddaga India is the nation which is having highest species richness and highest productivity and highest biodiversity. Okay, ಈಗ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ biodiversity hotspot. Biodiversity hotspot. So, and botanist, okay, named as, so Mayer, Norman Mayer, British biologist. So he has given certain criteria to call a region as biodiversity hotspot. So ಒಂದು region ಏನಾದರೂ biodiversity hotspot ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ it has to match 3 criteria according to Norman Mayer. Okay, your prakara. So what are those 3 criteria to call a region as biodiverse region or biodiversity hotspot? First one is obviously species richness. The first one will be species richness. Second one is endemism. What do you mean by that? Endemism. Endemicity, endemism. One are the same. Endemic means confined to particular region. Endemism, so are even endemic species, so which gives the same meaning, endemism. Those species cannot be found elsewhere. Against to the concept of cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan andre ಏನಪ್ಪ? Cosmopolitan. Found everywhere ಅಂತ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿರೋದನ್ನ cosmopolitan ಅಂತೀವಿ. So contradictory to this is endemism. Endemism means it is restricted to particular geographical area. Okay, so cosmopolitan and endemism are 2 contradictory words or contrast words. Okay. And third one will be, the first criteria would be species richness, second one will be endemism, and third one will be habitat loss. Okay. Example, I'll give an example. If it is in one geographical area, habitat or ecosystem, whatever, it's having, this ecosystem is having many number of species like tiger, lion, leopard, elephant, okay, rabbit, fox, hyena, zebra, rhino. So very rich biodiversity, rich species are present. It is matching the criteria, species richness. Okay. And endemism means, example, this one-horned rhino is not found anywhere. It's particularly confined to this region only. For example, elephant. Okay, so African elephant, it is confined to that particular region. Or some other like tigers, melanistic tigers, confined to that Odisha. So this is called endemism. If these species, diversity of species, richness of species, and also these species should be particular to that area. Third one, habitat loss. Due to human intervention, due to development, technological invasion, so agricultural expansion, so this habitat day by day it is vanishing. Destruction, okay, fragmentation of habitat, isn't it? So this is known as habitat loss due to expansion of agriculture, due to urbanization and industrialization and other anthropogenic activities. The habitat of those species is shrinking. Then it is said to be habitat loss. If any ecosystem which is having these 3 characteristic feature, then it is said to be biodiversity hotspot. There should be a threat, there should be endemism, and there should be species diversity, okay, according to Norman Mailer. Okay. It seems to be attractive. The criteria what he has prescribed seems to be attractive. And second one will be Conservation International. Conservation International. Have you heard about this organization? Conservation International. Conservation International. Right? This is an American NGO. ಈಗ Transparency International ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ ನೀವು? Have you heard about Transparency International? What is the role of Transparency International? I think you have to update with current affairs. Very poor. You are not at all reading newspaper, I hope. Okay. So, paper ಓದಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಆಗೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಫೇರ್ಸ್ಗೂ ನಿಮಗೂ ಬರೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. ಏನು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ರೀಡ್ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ religiously, diligently. Yes. Transparency International is one such international organization. It is an NGO which releases Corruption Perception Index. Annually, it releases Corruption Perception Index. NGO. This question was asked in UPSC only. Same way, Conservation International, also an American US NGO, which takes responsibility of protecting environment for the benefit of mankind. Okay, so which takes responsibility of protecting environment for benefit of mankind. Yes, you might be thinking, so we are discussing about biodiversity hotspot, and suddenly why she has taken Conservation International? ಹೌದಾ? ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದರೆ ನಾರ್ಮನ್ ಮೇಯರ್ ಇದಾರಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರೇನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು 3 criteria that is even imbibed by Conservation International. Conservation International imbibed the criteria from this biologist Norman Mailer. So, and they have come up with 2 sets of criteria. By matching those criteria, so Conservation International ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಒಂದು ಎಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಹಾಟ್ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, okay, if any ecosystem, so to be called as biodiversity hotspot, it should match 2 criteria. One criteria should be that ecosystem should possess 1500 species of vascular plants. What are vascular plants? Vascular plants andre enu? Vascular plants are those plants which is having xylem and phloem. The water conducting tissue is xylem and food conducting tissue is phloem. If any plant is having xylem and phloem, then it is said to be vascular plant. Then it is said to be vascular plant. So first criteria, ಏನಾಗಿರಬೇಕು? It must contain at least 1500 species of vascular plants, and these vascular plants should be endemic species. Endemic ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Not found anywhere else. So ಒಂದು ಏರಿಯಾ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಇದೊಂದು ಏರಿಯಾ, ಇದೊಂದು ಎಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್. So this ecosystem is having more than 1500 plant species, vascular plants. ವ್ಯಾಸ್ಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಅಂತದೇನು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ xylem phloem ಎಲ್ಲ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ಥ್ಯಾಲೋಫೈಟ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದಾವಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ, ಥ್ಯಾಲಸ್ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ತಗೊಳಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಮಾಸಸ್ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ವ್ಯಾಸ್ಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ವ್ಯಾಸ್ಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ should be minimum 1500 species, and also they should be endemic species. Okay, endemicity, endemism ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕ್ರೈಟೀರಿಯಾ ಏನು? ದ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕ್ರೈಟೀರಿಯಾ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ, ನೋಡಿ ನಾರ್ಮನ್ ಮೇಯರ್ ಮೂರು ಕ್ರೈಟೀರಿಯಾ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದ. ದೇರ್ ವರ್ 3 criteria mentioned by Norman Mayer. One is species diversity, ಎರಡನೇದು ಎಂಡೆಮಿಸಮ್, ಮೂರನೇದು ಹ್ಯಾಬಿಟ್ಯಾಟ್ ಲಾಸ್. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಎರಡು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲೇನೆ. ಕನ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿಗೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಕನ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್, ಸೊ ಫಸ್ಟ್ 2 criteria of Norman Mayer, one is species diversity. ವ್ಯಾಸ್ಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮೋರ್ ದೆನ್ 1500 ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಬಂತ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒನ್ ಎಂಡಮಿಸಮ್, and third one would be habitat loss. So here they fix the criteria of, if this ecosystem has lost 70% of its species, then that area should be considered as biodiversity hotspot. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? 2 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ರೈಟ್ ಡೌನ್. According to Conservation International, to qualify as a hotspot, a region must meet 2 strict criteria. Two strict criteria. First one, it must contain at least 1500 species of vascular plants as endemics. Okay, second one, it must have lost at least 70% of its original habitat. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟಿರಬೇಕು? ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿರಬೇಕು? 70% ಹೊರಟೋಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟಿರುತ್ತೆ ರೀ? 30%. So it must have minimum 30%. Okay. Currently there are 36 biodiversity hotspots are present on Earth's land surface. Yes. In India, how many biodiversity hotspots are there? Biodiversity hotspots in India. ಇದು ಕೂಡ ತುಂಬಾ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. Biodiversity hotspots in India. Isolated hotspots or shared? Shared ಇದೆಯಾ, isolated ಇದೆಯಾ? ಇವು shared, separate ಆಗಂತಿಲ್ಲ. So first one, Eastern Himalaya. Eastern Himalayas, very important. Second one, Western Ghats. India and Sri Lanka Western Ghats. Third one, Indo-Burma, Indo-Myanmar region, athwa Indo-Burma. Fourth one, Sunda Island. Sunda Island. So part of Indian subcontinent is present in this biodiversity hotspot. Nicobar Island. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇದೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ಸುಂಡ ಐಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಂತ. ನಮ್ದು Indian part. Little bit of Indian part, that is Nicobar Island, which is present in Sunda. ಇನ್ನು ಉಳಿದಿದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಬೇರೆ ದೇಶದ್ದು. ಇಂಡೋ ಬರ್ಮಾ ಇದು ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಹಿಮಾಲಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಇನ್ಯಾವುದೇ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಹಿಮಾಲಯದಲ್ಲಿ, ಗೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಹಿಮಾಲಯದಲ್ಲಿ, ಸೊ ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ, ವಿಚ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಹಿಮಾಲಯ? ಹಿಮಾಲಯ ಹಿಂಗಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಇದೆಯಪ್ಪ? ನೇಪಾಳ್, ಭೂತಾನ್, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಈ ಕಡೆ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಪಾಕಿಸ್ತಾನ್, ಓಕೆ ರೈಟ್ ಔಟ್, ಚೀನಾ, ಮಯನ್ಮಾರ್. Himalayas, which include entire Himalayan region, like Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, China, Myanmar. Western Ghats ali, Western Ghats and Sri Lanka. ಇವೆರಡೇ ದೇಶ. Okay, so and third one will be Indo-Burma. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು ಕ್ವಶನ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ Indo-Burma biodiversity hotspot, India and Burma are two nations which constitutes this biodiversity hotspot. Is it true? ಬರೀ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಮಯನ್ಮಾರ್ ಎರಡೇ ದೇಶ ಇದೆಯಾ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ? ವಿಯೆಟ್ನಾಂ, ಕಂಬೋಡಿಯಾ, ಲಾವೋಸ್, ಮಯನ್ಮಾರ್, ಓಕೆ, ಈವನ್ ಸಮ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಚೈನಾ, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ಇದಾವೆ. ರೈಟ್ ಆನ್. Indo-Burma, it includes ಮಯನ್ಮಾರ್. ಇಂಡಿಯಾದ ಯಾವ ಪಾರ್ಟು? ಇಂಡಿಯಾದು ಅಂಡಮಾನ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಐಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್. ಮತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಈ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಹಿಮಾಲಯಸ್ ಹೇಳಿಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ಇನ್ನು ಐ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟೆಡ್ ದಿಸ್. ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಹಿಮಾಲಯಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಚ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಡಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟ್ ಟು ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಹಿಮಾಲಯ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಈ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಹಾಟ್ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಸ್ಸಾಂ is not part of Eastern Himalaya. Prelimsige. Assam is not part of Eastern Himalaya biodiversity hotspot. All other northeastern states contributes to Eastern Himalayan biodiversity hotspot. Indo-Burma, Myanmar, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and southern China. ಇಂಡೋ-ಬರ್ಮಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಂಗಾದ್ರೆ ಯಾವುದು ನಮ್ಮ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಯಾವುದು? ಅಂಡಮಾನ್ ಐಲ್ಯಾಂಡು ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಂಟೈರ್ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್. Next, third one, Sunda Island. Sunda land ಇದು. Sunda land. In Sunda lands, it includes Nicobar group of islands. And other nations include Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, and Philippines. Okay. Please note down, there are 4 hotspots. Okay, so we'll recall this. Eastern Himalaya, Western Ghats, Indo-Burma region, and Sunda lands. They can ask question like this. In which of the following biodiversity hotspot major part of India is covered? Western Ghats. Alva. Sundadalli kadime, tumba kadime. Major part of India. Idalli Western Ghats alli India bitre ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ Sri Lankadu. Isn't it? In which of the following biodiversity hotspot very little part of India is covered? Sunda land. Yake? Bari Nicobar. Nicobar is the only part of India which is being part of the Sunda land. Other countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, Matte, Philippines, Laos, okay? So all these nations are which contributes major part of Sunda land. But from India, very little bit of Nicobar, which being the part of this biodiversity hotspot. When it comes to Indo-Burma region, northeastern states as well as Andaman Islands. Northeastern states and Andaman Islands are part of Indo-Burma region. The other nations are China, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, okay, Myanmar. They are the part of this Indo-Burma region. Eastern Himalayas, all these Himalayan nations, Pakistan, China, Nepal, Bhutan, okay, so all they are part of Eastern Himalayas, right? So ishtu nalaku tumba andre tumba important nimge, okay. Next, loss of biodiversity. Loss of biodiversity. Like layman, you cannot say that yes, there is decline of this species population, okay, there is decrease in number of species. You cannot say that. Evidently you have to show that, you have to quote an evidence. So biodiversity loss ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ so ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ತರ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು? From where you are bringing evidence andre there are some sources which states that there is steep decline of biodiversity since many years. For example, since 50 years, IUCN, you might heard about. IUCN is nothing but International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Species. Okay. IUCN states that since last 50 years, many species got into extinct list. Red data book anta release ಮಾಡುತ್ತಲ್ಲ IUCN, which releases red data book. According to that red data book, certain species have become extinct. ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಹೇಳಿ ನೋಡೋಣ extinct ಆಗಿರೋ species. Tell me some extinct species. ಡೈನೋಸರ್ ಯಾವಾಗೋ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಬಿಡಿ. ಸ್ಟೆಲ್ಲಾರ್ ಸೀ ಕೌ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಸ್ಟೆಲ್ಲಾರ್ ಸೀ ಕೌ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಡ್ಯೂಗಾಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ನೆನಪಿದ್ಯಾ? ಡ್ಯೂಗಾಂಗ್ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ವಾಟ್? ಸೀ ಗ್ರಾಸ್. ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ಸೊ ಈ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೆಲ್ಲಾರ್ ಅದೊಂದು ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸ್ಟೆಲ್ಲಾರ್ ಸೀ ಕೌ ಗಾಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಈವನ್ ಪ್ಯಾಸೆಂಜರ್ ಪಿಜನ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದಿರ? ಪ್ಯಾಸೆಂಜರ್ ಪಿಜನ್, ಈವನ್ ದಾಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಗಾಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್. ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರೋದು ಯಾರು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಸಿ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್ there are certain sources which is telling that our species diversity is declining. One such source is IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Species. So there are species which already got extinct. Example, passenger pigeon. UPSC favorite topic ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಾ? ಕ್ರಿಟಿಕಲಿ ಎಂಡೇಂಜರ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಪೀಷೀಸ್ನ, ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಷೀಸ್ನ, ಎಂಡೇಂಜರ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಪೀಷೀಸ್ನ ಕೇಳ್ತಾನೇ ಇರೋದು. ಯಾವ್ದು ನೆನಪಿಲ್ವೋ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಕೇಳೋದಲ್ವಾ? ಫೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಅವರು ಎಲಿಮಿನೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಅಲ್ಲ. ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಎಲಿಮಿನೇಟ್ ದ ಕ್ಯಾಂಡಿಡೇಟ್ಸ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಅಪ್ಲೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿಸ್ UPSC. ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಫಿಲ್ಟರ್ ಔಟ್. ವಾಟ್ ವೇ? ಬೈ ಆಸ್ಕಿಂಗ್ such stuff where students may get confused. though they know the answer, they cannot accurately predict. ಹೌದಾ? ಸೊ ಈ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಷೀಸ್ ಯಾವ್ದ್ಯಾವುದು ಅಂದರೆ ಪ್ಯಾಸೆಂಜರ್ ಪಿಜನ್, ಪ್ಯಾಸೆಂಜರ್ ಪಿಜನ್. ತುಂಬ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಈ ಎಂಡೇಂಜರ್ಡು, ಕ್ರಿಟಿಕಲಿ ಎಂಡೇಂಜರ್ಡು ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟೆಲ್ಲಾರ್ ಸೀಕೌ, ಸ್ಟೆಲ್ಲಾರ್ ಸೀಕೌ, ಸೀಕೌ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ನೋನ್ ಆಸ್ ಡ್ಯುಗಾಂಗ್. Okay, and tigers like Bali, Javan, Sumatran. ಸುಮತ್ರಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾವಾ, ಬಾಲಿ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲೇನಪ್ಪ ದ್ವೀಪಗಳು, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟೈಗರ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ವಂತೆ. ದೇ ಗಾಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್. ಸೈಬೀರಿಯನ್ ಟೈಗರ್ಸ್ ಇದಾವೆ ಬಟ್ ಎಂಡೇಂಜರ್ಡ್. ಓಕೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಏಷ್ಯಾಟಿಕ್ ಟೈಗರ್ಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದಾವೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಬಾಲಿ, ಜಾವಾ ಅಂಡ್ ಸುಮತ್ರನ್ ಟೈಗರ್ಸ್, ಈವನ್ ದೇ ಗಾಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್. Bali, Java, Sumatran tigers got extinct. ಇವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ IUCN, according to the red data book of IUCN, extinction of, this is very important, extinction of, mains ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಿಬೇಕಿದನ್ನ, extinction of 784 species, 784 species in 500 years. 500 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆಯಂತೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಮೀನ್ ಬೈ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಷನ್? ದೇ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ಲಿ erased from the earth. Okay, they completely got eliminated. Okay, flushed out. No remnant or no individual of that species exist. Then it is said to be extinct. Okay, so since last 784 years, sorry, 500 years, 784 species has been lost, extinct. Okay, ಇದೊಂದು ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಇದೊಂದು ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಸಿಕ್ತಾ ನಿಮಗೆ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಇದ್ರ ಥರನೇ ತುಂಬ IPCC ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳಿದಿರಲ್ಲ, ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಒಂದು ವೆರಿ ಪವರ್ಫುಲ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಯಾವುದು ಅಂದರೆ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿಗೆ, ಇದನ್ನು ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು ಮೇನ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ. IPBES, ಇದರ ಅಬ್ರಿವೇಷನ್ ಬರ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಇಂಟರ್ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟಲ್, ಅಬ್ರಿವೇಷನ್ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಇಂಟರ್ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟಲ್ science policy, intergovernmental science policy platform, intergovernmental science policy platform on biodiversity and ecosystem services. Ecosystem ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಇದು ತುಂಬ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟು. ಇದನ್ನು ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ IPBES ರಿಪೋರ್ಟನ್ನು, ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ IPCC ಆಫ್ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಅಂತೀವಿ. IPCC ಅಂದರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ, ಇಂಟರ್ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಪ್ಯಾನಲ್ ಆನ್ ಕ್ಲೈಮೇಟ್ ಚೇಂಜ್. ಸಚ್ ಎ ವೆರಿ ರಿನೌಂಡ್ ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್, ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೆ? ಕ್ಲೈಮೇಟ್ ಚೇಂಜಿಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಿಸಿದಾಗೆ. IPCC ಆಫ್ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಇದು ಇಂಟರ್ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟಲ್ science policy platform on biodiversity and ecosystem services. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಂದರೆ ರಿವೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ, ಅವಾಗ ನೆನಪಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇದು ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ? ಟೋಟಲ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಿಲಿಯನ್ ಸ್ಪೀಷೀಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಗಾಗಲೇ. ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ ಮಿಲಿಯನ್ ಸ್ಪೀಷೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್? ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಅಪ್ರಾಕ್ಸಿಮೇಟ್ಲಿ 8 ಮಿಲಿಯನ್ ಸ್ಪೀಷೀಸ್ ಇದಾವಲ್ಲ, ಆ 8 ಮಿಲಿಯನ್ ಸ್ಪೀಷೀಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ IPBES ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ 1 ಮಿಲಿಯನ್ ಸ್ಪೀಷೀಸ್ ಗಾಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್. ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ 8 ಮಿಲಿಯನ್ ಸ್ಪೀಷೀಸ್ 1 ಮಿಲಿಯನ್ ಗಾಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ ನ್ಯೂಮರಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟು. ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಕೋಟ್ ದೀಸ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಜಸ್ಟಿಫೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಯುವರ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ದಟ್ ಎಸ್, biodiversity is declining According to these reports, the first report is IUCN. IUCN ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತು last 500 years ಅಲ್ಲಿ 784 species has become extinct ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತು. ಇವನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾನೆ IPBES, so among 8 million species 1 million species got extinct till now ಅಂತ. ಓಕೆ IPBES ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. It is its headquarters is in Bonn. Bonn ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ? Headquarters ಇದ್ರದ್ದು Bonn, Germany. Its headquarters is in Bonn, Germany, which comprises of 130 countries, member countries. ಯಾವುದು? IPBES. ಸೊ ಯಾರು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡೆ, ಬರೀ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು, ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಬರ್ದಿಲ್ಲ, ಯಾರು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ ಇದ್ರ ಅಬ್ರಿವೇಶನ್? ಬುಕ್ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ದೆ IPBESಗೆ ಅಬ್ರಿವೇಶನ್ ಯಾರು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ? ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಒಂದೇ ಒಂಚೂರು ಯಾರು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ? ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಿತ್ತು, ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಒಂಚೂರು ಮಿಸ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಬರೀ ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇಷ್ಟು ರಿಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಂದರೆ ಸೊ ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ಸೊ ಕೀಪ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸಿಂಗ್. ಓಕೆ, ವೆರಿ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಬಂದಾಗ ಈ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ನ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ಸರಲ್ಲಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಯಾವುದು? ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ಲಾನೆಟ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್. ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ಲಾನೆಟ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್. ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ಲಾನೆಟ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ. ಇದು ಕೂಡ ಯಾರು ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ WWF. WWF ಅಂದ್ರೆ wrestling. Write down. World Wide Fund for Nature. World Wide Fund for Nature. World Wide Fund for Nature. So it got incepted in 1998. ಇದು ಯಾವಾಗ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಆಗಿರೋದಂದ್ರೆ, ಇದನ್ನು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರಪ್ಪ, ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದು ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ಲಾನೆಟ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್. UPSCಗೆ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸು ಇಂಡೈಸಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಇಷ್ಟ. ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಯಾವುದು, ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಫೋರಮ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಯಾವುದು ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ IMF ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸು. ಸೊ ಇಂಡೆಕ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಕೇಳ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ, ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ಲು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಸುಮಾರು ಸತಿ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಡೆಕ್ಸು, ತುಂಬ ಇಂಡೆಕ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಮತ್ತು ಇದ್ಯಾವುದು ಜೆಂಡರ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಿಟಿ ಇಂಡೆಕ್ಸು, ಗ್ಲೋಬಲ್ ಹಂಗರ್ ಇಂಡೆಕ್ಸು, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ಲಾನೆಟ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್, ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್, ಬಂದಿದೆ ಕ್ವಶನ್. ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ಲಾನೆಟ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ರಿಲೀಸ್ಡ್ ಬೈ WWF, established in 1998. It's incepted in 1998. Okay. It's a biennial report. What do you mean by that? Biennial. Biennial ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಪ್ಪ? 2 ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ. Biannual ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ 2 ಸರಿ. 6 months ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು biannual. Biennial ಅಂದ್ರೆ 2 ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ. Okay? It's a biennial report. 2 years once. This report will be released 2 years once. Okay. According to this report, 69% decline in wildlife population in last 50 years. 69% decline in wildlife population. Wildlife population in last 50 years. ಇನ್ನು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಬರ್ಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್. ಬರ್ಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್. ಬರ್ಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್. ಇದು ಕೂಡ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ, ಮುಂದೆ ಕೂಡ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ನಾನು ಇದನ್ನ. ಬರ್ಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ which states that 48% of bird species suspected to be undergoing population decline. 48%. 48% of bird species worldwide. 48% of bird species worldwide are suspected to be undergoing population decline. Okay. So can you recall all those 4 reports? So where you have to code these 4 reports in mains answer. Okay. First report is IUCN. According to IUCN, how many species got extinct in 500 years? In 500 years, 84 species. And the second report, IPBES. ಈಗ ಹೇಳಿ ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರು ನೋಡೋಣ. ಇಂಟರ್ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ policy platform for biodiversity and ecosystem services. Okay, ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಇದನ್ನ. So according to this IPBS, yes, ಎಷ್ಟು ಡಿಕ್ಲೈನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ? So out of 8 million species, 1 million species got extinct ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Got extinct. This is known as IPBS is known as IPCC of biodiversity ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Extinct. And third one, living planet report. Living planet report. It will be released by WWF, Worldwide Fund for World Wildlife Fund for Nature. So according to this report, ಎಷ್ಟು ಡಿಕ್ಲೈನ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು? 69% declined in 50 years. Wildlife appa, 69% of wildlife. Wildlife andre wild animals in 50 years. And finally, the report known as BirdLife International. According to BirdLife International, so which just counts birds. So adar prakara 48% decline in ಎಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ? 48% ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಹೇಳಿರದ? bird species suspected to be undergoing population decline ಅಂತ. ಓಕೆ, ಇದನ್ನ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಬರ್ಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್, ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಅದನ್ನ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮುಂದೆನೂ ತಗೋತೀನಿ ನಾನು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ the reports. Nodi, what are the things we have discussed till now? So we completed the cycles. The last cycle was methane cycle and phosphorus cycle. Then we came to new chapter, biodiversity. What do you mean by biodiversity? Variability of species in the ecosystem or in a habitat or in a region or in the world. In Bekara Agbud. Okay. So species, nothing but plants, animals or microbes. And how many species are present on Earth? 8.75. So are there more land species or more marine species? Land species. So in that land species, which class contributes more diversity? Animals. In that animals, again, arthropoda, especially insects. Okay. Apart from that, there are three indices of biodiversity: alpha, beta, gamma. Alpha, within one ecosystem, the number of species present in an ecosystem. Beta, between two ecosystem, and gamma is between different ecosystem. Okay, alpha, beta, gamma. What about genetic species diversity? And third one is ecosystem biodiversity. Marthogbitra. So what is genetic biodiversity? Gene variation in one species alla, different species alla? One species alla alva? So genetic diversity can be found in single species. Then that is known as genetic diversity, gene variation. Okay. Species diversity, again, it's having two terminologies. One is species evenness and species richness. Species richness is nothing but number of species present in that particular habitat or particular area. Number of species. Okay. So, matte species evenness, relative abundance, very important. Evenness artha madkobeku neevu. Number of species same irutte, total number of animals same irutte, but abundance, relative abundance will be varied. Okay, so adu evenness. Next, after that, ecosystem biodiversity, like the diversity between different ecosystem. ಈಗ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಒಂದು ಕೋಸ್ಟಲ್ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ, ಓಕೆ, ಎಸ್ಚುರೀಸ್, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗ್ರೋವ್ಸ್, ಕೋರಲ್ ರೀಫ್ಸ್, ಹೌದಾ? ದೆನ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಘಾಟ್ಸ್, ಟ್ರಾಪಿಕಲ್ ರೈನ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್, ಅತ್ತೆ ಇನ್ಯಾವುದು ಡೆಸರ್ಟ್ ಎಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಹಿಮಾಲಯನ್, ಎಲ್ಲ ತರದ್ದು ಕೂಡ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಲೈಕ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಎಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ರೀಜನ್ is said to be ecosystem biodiversity. Coral reefs, mangroves, coastal ecosystem and forest ecosystem, isn't it? Desert, Himalayas, grasslands, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ರೆ ಏನಂತೀವಿ? ಎಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ದೆನ್ ಮತ್ತೇನು ತಗೊಂಡ್ವಿ? biodiversity hotspots. Yes, biodiversity hotspot, the name was given by Norman Mailer. So according to him, there should be 3 criteria has to be followed for calling an area as an biodiversity hotspot region. 3 criteria is species richness, endemism, habitat loss. And Conservation International come up with 2 criteria by imbibing features from Norman Mailer. Okay, so that 2 criteria. First one is 1500 vascular plants. This number is very important, you cannot forget. 1500 helbeku. 1500 vascular plants with endemism. Second point, 70% of its habitat has been lost. Okay, 2 criteria, please. 2 criteria ಕೊಟ್ಟೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಯಾವ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿದೆ, ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಹಾಟ್ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ ಅನ್ಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಯಾವ ಕ್ರೈಟೀರಿಯಾ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ದೆನ್ ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ ಮೆಗಾ ಡೈವರ್ಸ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್? 17. How many biodiversity hotspots are there? How many hottest hotspots are there? 8. In India, how many biodiversity hotspots are there? So those 4. First one, Eastern Himalayas. Eastern Himalayas, which consist of, which encompasses, so 4 to 5 nations. ಯಾವ್ದು? ಚೀನಾ, ಪಾಕಿಸ್ತಾನ್, ನೇಪಾಳ್, ಭೂತಾನ್, ಮಯನ್ಮಾರ್, ಇಂಡಿಯಾ. ಇದು ಕೇಳಬಹುದು ಮುಂದಿನ ದಿನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಹಿಮಾಲಯಾಸ್ ಡಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವಿಚ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಫಾಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ನೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ. ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಹಿಮಾಲಯಸ್ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವ್ದ್ಯಾವುದು? ಭೂತಾನ್, ನೇಪಾಳ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀರಾ ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿ, ಚೈನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ. ಈ ಕಡೆ ಪಾಕಿಸ್ತಾನ ಹೇಳೋದು ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮಯನ್ಮಾರ್ ಯಾಕೆ ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಇಂಡೋ ಬರ್ಮಾ ರೀಜನ್ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಬರೋದು ಮಯನ್ಮಾರು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾಕೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೋತೀರ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಹಿಮಾಲಯಸ್, ಸೊ ಯು ಥಿಂಕ್ ದಟ್ ಇಟ್ ವೋಂಟ್ ಬಿ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಹಿಮಾಲಯಸ್ ಅಂತ. ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಹಿಮಾಲಯಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಇದೆ ಬರ್ಮಾ ಅಥವಾ ಮಯನ್ಮಾರ್, ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಂಡೋ ಬರ್ಮಾ ರೀಜನ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಇದೆ. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್, ಇಂಥ ಕೀವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಫ್ರೇಮ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ Myanmar is part of both Eastern Himalayas and Indo-Burma region. Okay, ಇದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒನ್, Western Ghats present in India and Sri Lanka. ಥರ್ಡ್ ಒನ್, Indo-Burma. Indo-Burmaದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ದೇಶಗಳು ಬರುತ್ತೆ? ನಾಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಅಂಡ್ ಮಯನ್ಮಾರ್, ಲಾವೋಸ್, ಕಂಬೋಡಿಯಾ, ವಿಯೆಟ್ನಾಂ, ಶ್ರೀಲಂಕಾ ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಚೈನಾ, ಥೈಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್, ಇಷ್ಟು ದೇಶಗಳು ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಾಂಗ್ಲಾದೇಶ ಬರಲ್ಲ. Bangladesh is not part of it. Okay, Indo-Myanmar. Cambodia ಬರ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್, ನಮ್ಮ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡೋ-ಬರ್ಮಾ ರೀಜನ್. ಇವಾಗ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವಿಚ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಫಾಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಹಾಟ್ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಿಮಗೆ ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾವುದು? ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಲ್ಲ, ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಹಿಮಾಲಯಸ್. ಸೆಕೆಂಡು ಇವಾಗ ಹೇಳಿದ ಯಾವ್ದಪ್ಪ? ಇಂಡೋ-ಬರ್ಮಾ ರೀಜನ್. ಸೊ ಇವೆರಡರಲ್ಲೂ ಇದೆಯಾ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್, ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಎರಡರಲ್ಲೂ ಇದೆ. ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಬೋತ್ ಇನ್ ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಹಿಮಾಲಯಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಂಡೋ-ಬರ್ಮಾ ರೀಜನ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? ಸೊ ಇದು UPSC ಇದು ಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಒಂದೇನೆ, ಆಸ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ಫೆಮಿಲಿಯರ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಫೆಮಿಲಿಯರ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಹಾಟ್ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ ಬಂದು ತುಂಬಾ ಫೆಮಿಲಿಯರ್, ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಫೆಮಿಲಿಯರ್ ಹುಡುಕ್ತಾನೆ. ಮಕ್ಳು ಯಾವ್ದು ಗಮನ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಓದಿರಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಫ್ರೇಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತಿರ್ತಾನೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಒನ್ ಯಾವ್ದಪ್ಪ? ಥರ್ಡ್ ಒನ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಯಾವುದು? ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಘಾಟ್ಸ್. ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಒನ್ ಸುಂಡಾ. ಸುಂಡಾದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ದು ಇಷ್ಟೇಷ್ಟು ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಿಕೋಬಾರ್ ಇದೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಇನ್ನು ಉಳಿದಿದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಬೇರೆ ದೇಶಗಳೇ. ಲಾವೋಸ್, ವಿಯೆಟ್ನಾಂ, ಕಂಬೋಡಿಯಾ, ಅಲ್ಲ ಮಲೇಷಿಯಾ, ಇಂಡೋನೇಷ್ಯಾ, ಸಿಂಗಪುರ್ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಸಿಂಗಪುರ್, ಬ್ರೂನೈ ಇದಿಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ, ನಾನು ಇಷ್ಟೊತ್ತೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ. ಲಾವೋಸ್, ವಿಯೆಟ್ನಾಂ ಅದಲ್ಲ. ಇಂಡೋನೇಷ್ಯಾ, ಮಲೇಷಿಯಾ, ಸಿಂಗಪುರ್, ಬ್ರೂನೈ, ಫಿಲಿಪೈನ್ಸ್. ಆಸಿಯಾನ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಆಸಿಯಾನ್ ಯಾವ್ದಿದೆ? ಬ್ರೂನೈ. ಓಕೆ, ಆಸಿಯಾನಿಗೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಕೋಡ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರ 10 ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ಗೆ? ಯು ಕೀಪ್ ಕೋಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಏನಂತ? BBMP ಸಿಲ್ಕ್ TV ಅಂತ. BBMP ಸಿಲ್ಕ್ TV 10 ಕಂಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡಿ. BB ಅಂದರೆ ಬಾಂಗ್ಲಾದೇಶ್, ಬರ್ಮಾ. M ಮಯನ್ಮಾರ್, ಬರ್ಮಾನೇ ಮಯನ್ಮಾರ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು. ಮಲೇಷಿಯಾ. P ಫಿಲಿಪೈನ್ಸ್. BBMP 4 ದೇಶ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾ? ಬರ್ಮಾ, ಬ್ರೂನೈ, ಮಲೇಷಿಯಾ, ಫಿಲಿಪೈನ್ಸ್. BBMP. ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಿಲ್ಕ್ S ಸಿಂಗಪುರ್, ಇಂಡೋನೇಷ್ಯಾ, ಲಾವೋಸ್. ಕೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಸಿ. ಸಿಲ್ಕ್ ಅಂದರೆ SILC ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸಿಲ್ಕ್. ಸಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಕಂಬೋಡಿಯಾ. TV ಥೈಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್, ವಿಯೆಟ್ನಾಂ. BBMP ಸಿಲ್ಕ್ TV. ಅದನ್ನೇ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾರ್ಕ್ ಇವಾಗ ರಿಲೆವೆನ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಬಿಡಿ. ಸಾರ್ಕ್ಗೇನು? MBBS ಸ್ಪೇನ್. MBBS ಸ್ಪೇನ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲ 8 ಸಾರ್ಕ್ ನೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ SCO ಈಗ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, SCOಗೆ ಯಾವುದು? ಸೊ ಕಟ್ ಏನ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು? K². ಕೇಕ್ನ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಬದಲು ನಾವು K² ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಯಾರನ್ನಾದ್ರೂ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸತ್ತೋಗ್ತಿರ್ತಾನೆ, RIP ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ತಾನೆ. ಸೊ ಕಟ್ K² RIP. RIP ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ಪೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲ್ವೇನ್ರಿ? ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲ 8 ದೇಶಗಳು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಕಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? C ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಚೈನಾ, U ಉಜ್ಬೇಕಿಸ್ತಾನ್, T ತಜಿಕಿಸ್ತಾನ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ K² ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಕಿರ್ಗಿಸ್ತಾನ್, ಕಜಕಿಸ್ತಾನ್. ಮತ್ತೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಕಟ್ K² RIP ರಷ್ಯಾ, ಇಂಡಿಯಾ, ಪಾಕಿಸ್ತಾನ್. 8 ದೇಶಗಳು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ತು. ಸೊ ಕೀಪ್ ಕೋಡ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ನೆಮೋನಿಕ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ದೀಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೋತೀರ. ದೇ ಆರ್ infinite information. Sometimes I feel like very difficult to memorize all those. ಅವಾಗ ನೀವು you have to keep mnemonics ಅಥವಾ ಈ ಥರ ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. G20 ಕೇಳಿದಾನಪ್ಪ, UPSC ಕೇಳಿದಾನೆ. ವಿಚ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಫಾಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ G20 ಅಂತ. G20ಗೆ ಈಗ G7 ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, G7ಗೆ ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಾ? ಗರ್ಲ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಜ್ಯೂಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಗರ್ಲ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಜ್ಯೂಸ್ GF ಅಂತ. ಜ್ಯೂಸ್ JUICE, ಜ್ಯೂಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಗರ್ಲ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ GF. ಓಕೆ, ಜ್ಯೂಸ್ ವಿತ್ GF. ಜ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ 5 ದೇಶಗಳು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ತು. ಜಪಾನ್, UK, I ಇಟಲಿ, C ಕೆನಡಾ, E ಇಂಗ್ಲೆಂಡ್. ಜ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಯ್ತಾ? 5. ಸೊ ಜ್ಯೂಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಗರ್ಲ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಜರ್ಮನಿ, ಫ್ರಾನ್ಸ್. 7 ದೇಶಗಳು ಆಗೋಯ್ತು. G7 ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ನಿಮಗೆ? ಈಗ G20 ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಈ G7 ಇದಾವೆ ಯಾವುದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ? ನಿಮ್ಮ G20ಯಲ್ಲಿ. G7 ಇಸ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ G20. ಇದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಬ್ರಿಕ್ಸ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಇವಾಗ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು 5 ದೇಶಗಳು ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನೋಡಿ. ಬ್ರಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 5 ದೇಶ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ICU ಅಂತ ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು. ICU. ಓಕೆ 5 ದೇಶಗಳು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ICSEEU, ICU ಅಂದರೆ 5 ದೇಶನೂ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೆ? ಬ್ರಿಕ್ಸಿಗೆ ಹೊಸದಾಗ 5 ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾವಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ಅದು ಓದ್ತಿರ ಬಿಡಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಈಗ ಯಾವ್ದು ಹೇಳಿದೆ? G20ಗೆ ಬ್ರಿಕ್ಸ್ 5 ದೇಶ, G7 7 ದೇಶ, ಎಷ್ಟಾಗೋಯ್ತು? 12 ಆಗೋಯ್ತು. ಅಸ್ಮಿತ್ ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ ಅಂತ, ಅಸ್ಮಿತ್ ಅಂತ ಹಾಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ A ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ M ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ S ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ ಅಂತ ಹಾಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ದೇಶಗಳು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ತು. ಅಸ್ಮಿತ್. ಓಕೆ, G7 ಬ್ರಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಸ್ಮಿತ್, ಇದು 12 ಆಯ್ತಾ? A ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ S ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ M ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್. A ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಅರ್ಜೆಂಟೀನಾ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಆಸ್ಟ್ರೇಲಿಯಾ, ಸೌದಿ ಅರೇಬಿಯಾ, ಸೌತ್ ಕೊರಿಯಾ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಲೇಷಿಯಾ, ಮೆಕ್ಸಿಕೋ. ಹೀಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ನಿಮಗೆ G20 ಆಗೋಯ್ತು. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆಯಾ? ಯು ಕೀಪ್ ಕೋಡ್. ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಲ್ಲಿ ಕೋಡ್ ನೆನ್ಸ್ಕೊಳಂಗೆ ಆಗ್ಬಾರ್ದು. ಕೋಡ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಬಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ, ಓಕೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಕೋಡ್ನ ನೆನ್ಸ್ಕೊಳಂಗೆ ಆಗ್ಬಾರ್ದು. ಅವಾಗವಾಗ ರಿಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್, ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಅಲಯನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಬೇಕು. 2 is ಕಂಪನಿ, 3 is ಕ್ರೌಡ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ಇಬ್ಬರು ಸೇಮ್ ವೇವ್ ಲೆಂತ್ ಇರೋರು, ಯು ಮೇಕ್ ಎ ಕಂಪನಿ. ಸೊ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಆನ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಡೇ ಬೇಸಿಸ್. ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ಒಂದು ಹಾಫ್ ಆನ್ ಅವರ್ ಈ ಥರದ್ದು ಏನಾದರೂ ಇದ್ದರೆ, ಸೊ ಮೆಮೊರೈಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಂಥದ್ದು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಗಾಸಿಪಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡೋದೇ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ 3 ಮೇಲೆ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಪೋರ್ಷನ್ಸನ್ನು ನೀವು ಅಲಾಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಇಷ್ಟು ನೀನು ಓದ್ಕೊಂಬ, ಇಷ್ಟು ನಾನು ಓದ್ಕೊಬರ್ತೇನೆ, ವಿಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಅಂತ. ಓಕೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಿದ್ವಿ ನಾವು? ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಹಾಟ್ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ಸ್ ಆಯಿತಾ? ಈ 4 ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಹಾಟ್ಸ್ಪಾಟ್ಸ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್. ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಲಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ, ಇದು ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ಸರಿಗೆ ಯು ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ದೀಸ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಟ್ ಎನಿ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ನೀವು ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಷಿಯಲಿ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಸ್ಪೀಕ್, ನಾಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಲೇಮ್ಯಾನ್. ಸೊ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಸ್ಪೀಶೀಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಈ ಒಂದು ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ತಿರೋದಲ್ಲ. ದ ಸೈಂಟಿಫಿಕ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ IUCN, IPBES, 3rd one ಬರ್ಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್, 4th one ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ಲಾನೆಟ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್. ಈ 4 ರಿಪೋರ್ಟು. ಸೊ ಇಷ್ಟನ್ನು ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, KPSCಗೂ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, UPSCಗೂ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಲಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ರೀಸನ್ಸ್ ಏನು, ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಯಾಕೆ ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಸೊ ಕಾನ್ಸಿಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಏನು, that will discuss tomorrow. Reasons for biodiversity loss and consequences of biodiversity loss. ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ? ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳಿ, or else we'll catch up in next class. ಸೊ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಇನ್ನೇನಾದರೂ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಎಸ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.